last year's team or this year's team? Who's going to be better? Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Hope you're all doing well. So we know now Roki Sasaki is not coming. He said no to the Yankees, said no to the Mets. There's three teams left: the Padres, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. Okay, and those are the two clear favorites. But there's some late intel on the Padres. This is I'm going to read this right from here. Mike Schilt, the manager, Jackson Merrill, their top prospect, Yu Darvish, and Manny Machado were in attendance for the second meeting with Roki Sasaki. The first meeting, he didn't want any players from any teams. Second meeting was okay with it. Okay, so it was a perfect blend of the skipper, the captain, Manny, the mentor, you, and the rising prospect there. So it gives them a taste of how they develop some players, how the pitching stable is, and how the team is overall. And they did play a huge role in not only making Sasaki feel welcome, but they also did the same thing with Yu Darvish here too. So it just goes to show they're putting on a full court press right now for Roki Sasaki. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the Padres. And I know he left with a bunch of the Blue Jays gear too, but again, just like the Yankees, if you want to go resurrect your career, you do it in a place like the Dodgers or the Yankees. That's a good thing. So I'm not surprised why the Yankees get so many folks, and how the Dodgers are getting so many folks. Even the Dodgers are figuring out a way how to dance around the system right now. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of angry people in the next CBA, but at the same time, they're elevating salaries, which is what the players union wants. So can't fault them for that. The deferred money thing, they're only hamstringing themselves later on, but it is what it is, whatever. So, but that's that. And thank you, Roki Sasaki. I'll just say for saying no when you did 2 days before the international signing period. Okay. Tomorrow's the international signing period opening. So it gives the Yankees time to pivot, right? And to look at who they want to sign. Again, the other good thing about this is they're not having to pass on other deals or pull out of deals because of all the money being allocated to one player. So this gives them a chance to attack in other areas. But again, I had the list up yesterday. It was interesting, the top 50 prospects, international prospects. With the exception of Roki Sasaki, you had to go down to 39 for the next pitcher. He was one, and then it was all position players. And then you have to go down to 39 and 40 with the next two. Okay? And the other thing I noticed about that list is Roki Sasaki and one other player who was 18 are the only players on that list that were over 18. Everyone else is 16 and 17. So these guys are still years away. So it's just something to keep in mind. But this is, good prospect depth. And the Yankees, are linked to next year's top class too. Some of the top guys in next year's class too. So they're going to be heavily involved in these next couple of years. But I expect them to be busy tomorrow, international signing period. So if you're a fan and you're not sub to this channel, make sure that you do that right now. Please do. And you turn on your notifications, because when they do sign people, I'll put it out. I'll make sure that you know. And I thank you for that. Okay. But so there's that. So pivot, moving on. It's in the past now. So, and I wish him well wherever he goes. But now 2024 versus 2025 Yankees. Who do you think is going to be better? Right? I think it's going to be a different team. Right? And obviously Matt Blake has done a fantastic job developing pitchers. And there's a couple of things to pull out, right? To point out here. The rotation is elite but expensive. The bullpen is elite but cheap. They can go cheap on the bullpen because of the fact that they do a great job at turning average relievers into stout relievers. So they're investing in the bullpen. Right? Investing in the starting rotation. Maybe every now and then they'll invest in a higher price reliever, but they don't necessarily need to. So, and I do expect them to bring in another arm or two this offseason. There's 4 weeks left. They will bring a bat. I'm confident of that, and they'll bring in an arm or two as well and fortify this bench. So we have to figure out who's going to be on the bench. It's going to be Dom Smith, who's here now. They signed him yesterday into a minor league deal. There's going to be Ben Rice. There's going to be Oswaldo Cabrera. There's going to be Peraza. We don't know yet. DJ, right? We have no idea, but obviously the bench needs to get better. Is it going to be Trent Grisham? Is he still going to be here? We'll find out. We'll find out. But Matt Blake has got he's got a stronger rotation to work with this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does here, and a stronger bullpen too. James Rosen, I think, is going to have his work cut out for him because he's going from a lineup last year that was loaded at the top with star power, right? You Judge, Stanton, and Soto there. And then it was a relatively precipitous drop-off after that. But now it's a longer, more balanced lineup, right? You could have 6 or 7 guys, 20-plus home runs this year, which reminds me of the teams of the late 90s and early 2000s when the Yankees were really, really good and they were winning. They didn't have anybody lighting the world on fire. They just had a bunch of really good guys. Now, obviously, some of these guys come at risks. Paul Goldschmidt, and Cody Bellinger, and so on and so forth. But they're not here on short-term deals. They're not clogging up the team for years. Guys like Alex Bregman, Anthony Santander, and Pete Alonso would clog up the team for years, right? So this is why it's important to have some of these guys. Like if Ben Rice develops this year, and I do expect him to get an opportunity to do that, his metrics suggest that he's a better hitter when he plays consistently. And he's got the power output. He has the bat to the ball contact skill as well. He had a bad stretch recently, last year, but I do think with more time and more development, he'll get better with that. And again, the question is to me, if he takes a big step forward, does that mean they don't have to pursue Vlad Guerrero or Munetaka Murakami? That's one of the things I'd be looking out for, right? If Spencer Jones takes the next step forward, right? Does that mean they don't have to throw $500 million at Kyle Tucker next year? This is why player development is important. And this is why, to me, if I'm the Yankees, I'm thinking like, okay, Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez could be our version of Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker. Young studs, right? So that to me, and if you get that and you get Jason Dominguez, a full-year Dominguez, next level of Volpe, Austin Wells, and you have a young nucleus here to go on with some aging, expensive players. And there where you're not having to spend $500 million on every couple of years on a player who's pretty much knocking on 30. I mean, Vlad Guerrero Jr., I think is a little younger than that, but Kyle Tucker is going to be 29 next year. So do you really want to pay $500 million for that? Spencer Jones, who's 5 years younger than him, with the same skill set as an elite defender and a great athlete? I don't know, which is why I'm hoping that Spencer Jones takes the next step forward. Because if he does, you get Jones in this lineup with Dominguez and the rest of these guys, it's just going to be a pretty darn good lineup. And, the upswing of these guys can help offset or balance out potential decline of guys like Giancarlo Stanton and potentially Aaron Judge at some point too. So to me, James Rosen's a guy that has his work cut out for him. He's gonna be dealing with a longer lineup, a less heavily weighted at the top lineup, right? It's impossible for any individual to replace Juan Soto. We know this. We knew this from the start, but they had the foresight to pivot real fast from him, and they've addressed multiple needs, which is good, and which makes me excited and I look forward to this year. And again, there are other teams that are going to be better, like the Red Sox and Royals and some of these other playoff teams, but I still think the Yankees are the favorites in the American League. And with that said, I'd love to know what your thoughts are. And I would love to know what your thoughts are on those two questions. Does Rice develop enough to stay in the plans? Does Dom Smith light a fire under Rice's behind? I don't know. No idea, right? Rice has 5 years of control left. So, and he's young, and he's shown that he can do it here already when given the opportunity. Just maybe needs a little bit more consistent playing time. Maybe he's a guy to platoon with Paul Goldschmidt, right? But the Yankees are always bringing in guys like Dom Smith and some other folks. I'm not surprised to giving themselves more depth. But is this 2025 team, in your opinion, better than the 2024 team? That's my question for you. To me, it really depends on how they finish out this roster, and they will finish out the roster at some point. But I think I say that it's different, but I wouldn't say better until the end of the season to see how well they perform. right? Because if they do win the World Series, then they are a better team than they were last year. If they don't, they get to the World Series and they don't win it, then I wouldn't say that they're a better team. So it's a really interesting. I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, and I want to know what your thoughts are. And I want to see how well James Rosen can adapt to a different type of lineup. He got a lot out of Gleyber Torres last year, despite his funk. Got a lot out of Aaron Judge. Got a lot of that's quite a few guys. I want to see what he can get out of Goldschmidt and a full year of Jazz Chisholm, full year of Dominguez, right? Cody Bellinger. So I want to see what he can get out of these guys and how they can maneuver themselves through the lineup and how we can help them do that. Right. So that's to me and depending on who they bring in as the bat. I mean, Jorge Polanco has connections, ties to James Rosen, so I know he's been considered. Paul DeJong. Well, none of these names are sexy names, so maybe they don't need a sexy name. Even Brendan Donovan, I've talked about him. I don't consider him a sexy name. He's not the high profile guy, but he's a guy I think will be better than all these guys. I would choose him over Bregman, Santander, Alonso any day of the week, 3 times on Sunday. So, and there is a chance that he might become available, but not yet, which is why I think Cashman's going to wait out this offseason. And again, the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of players that have still yet to be signed. And unfortunately, it's because a lot of these guys are attached to qualifying offers. Had these guys not been attached to QOs, they would have signed weeks ago or months ago. So I'm very confident when I say that too. But getting back to the question, 2024 versus 2025. Who do you feel better about? We saw what the 2024 roster did and can do. They got hot, then they got cold, and then they got hot again. They went to the World Series, and they lost. Fine. What can this team do differently? They address some fundamental deficiencies, right? They still have a ways to go. Still need, they get, I think, a lefty bat in the infield and solidify that bench. Like right now, if the bench is Oswaldo Cabrera, let's just say if he starts, it's not even on the bench. Let's say it's Peraza, DJ, Ben Rice, and Trent Grisham. I don't know how I feel about that bench. I'm not sure. I think Oswaldo Cabrera is best suited on the bench as being our Swiss Army knife. I really do. I know some other folks think they're going to go in-house. I doubt they're going to go in-house. Like I said yesterday, I don't think they're going to come this far that then just halt and be like, nah, we're going to go cheap. I don't think they're going to do that. And he's waiting for the right time to strike. And he's going to be smart with the bullpen because he doesn't have to bring in the DMCs again. And there's no Mariano Rivera's out there. So he doesn't need to bring him in anyway. This bullpen is freaking good. Top bullpen. So, but give me your take on this. And again, if anything else comes out, you will get it, especially in the Yankees. But expect the Yankees to be a little busy tomorrow. Like I said, the international signing period starts tomorrow. Doesn't mean Roki Sasaki is going to sign tomorrow, but we'll find out when he signs, when he makes his decision. And again, at that point, we'll see how much a team allocates to him and if they have room for anybody else. Now the Yankees have $6 million to play with internationally, $6+ million. And who knows, they may even trade some of that away for a bat. Now that they know they're not getting Sasaki. And they're going to get their reset number next year, right? So they could do that too. If another team's looking to go internationally and they have a position player that we want, maybe the Yankees can give them some international money in terms of, as well as prospects or whatever else, to get a player, right? So they can be a little bit more creative now. They can be a little bit more creative now. But again, and I do think the Yankees will be wise to, I'll finish with this, to not necessarily go for the most hyped player in Japan all the time. Go for, like last year, I was in favor of Shota Imanaga over Yamamoto. Imanaga was not hyped at all. Yamamoto was. And Imanaga was better than Yamamoto was last year. I think Imanaga will be better than him this year too. So maybe they need to go for a guy like that or like a Hiroki Kuroda type or something like that. The older guys then instead of the super hyped, super young guys. Like guys with a little bit more experience who won't have to be posted early or whatever it might be, right? It won't cost $300 million. But we'll see. Now the Yankees can be a little bit more creative and aggressive and, and a little bit more risky now. that with what they've done already as well, and how they're going to fill out the rest of this roster. Give me your take. What are they going to do? Let's talk about it. Peace.